right. So we're live on GameWorn Radio.
Whatever that was.
I don't have the For some reason, my audio isn't pumping through for
the intro.
We're live now, so no intro. We'll get the bugs worked out later. But I'm Derek, and we're joined with Doc, Steven, Paul, Tom, Bobby. Bobby's broadcasting his face. Steven's got his little picture there. But it should be a pretty good show today. We're going to be talking about advice that we have for collectors, new collectors. And, sometimes we'll probably even get to the point where we'll be talking about things that even our veterans can take advantage of. Steven, you are one of our newer collectors that I'm aware of. What are some of the things, we'll start off with you and ask you, what are some of the things that you wish you knew going into the hobby?
Well, I joked with you, but I guess knowing people and what they collect would kind of be the first thing. Maybe trying to build a relationship with them instead of just running out and buying their jersey. That'd be the first thing. I'll switch to video since I'm talking. Other than that, just learning who to not disrespect, I guess, is another big one, because you start having issues with people, and that's not a good thing, especially when you want to start collecting jerseys, and people will stop things. So
yeah, it'll cascade down, and it's. I try to say it quite often. It's better to have a bunch of friends in the hobby than actual jerseys. The friends are really what make everything worthwhile. Let's see. Oh, okay, cool. But yeah, I know this topic spawned off because we did have a post earlier in one of the groups. I think it was on, it was like a Detroit Red Wing Cujo jersey, right? Somebody was selling it, I think, and somebody offered the person like $350. And that was viewed as quite a bit of an insult, and then there was some like back and forth as to how to know what a jersey's worth or what a reasonable offer is or isn't, and so it kind of created this back and forth. And one of the big kickers is you can do a little bit of research if you want to see what the general market is on a specific jersey. Like with that specific player, maybe different teams would be a little bit more, but I mean, there's so many resources out there. You can do a quick Google search, pull up some ended auctions. You can even ask some people. That way you don't like instantly piss somebody off.
I think kind of to that point, Derek, I think a lot of it comes down to how you handle the way you make the offer and everything else. Because I've had people make offers on things that were insanely below, what reasonable market value would be. But it's been pretty clear quite a few times that they just didn't really know yet. And I think if you've been doing this for a while, I think you also owe it to, the folks that you're interacting with. Just be reasonable. There's no reason to get really upset or fired up about how somebody, how low an offer is, or if it's well below what you wanted to get out of it. I mean, differences of opinion happen. So I think that's a two-way street for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I don't know how to hammer it more home, but the hobby is so much more better better with friends. The more friends you have, the better off it is.
Yeah. And a big part of it, anytime anybody gets in new, and you asked about when we came into the hobby, some of the things we wish we knew. I wish I knew what to expect, and back when I started would have been early mid-90s, and I mean, I just was trying to buy anything, and mostly blue stuff or the minor team, junior team that's here. But now that I look at some of the purchases I made, I'm kicking myself in the ass not to have a better focus or be more of, this player isn't any good, maybe I should try for somebody a little bit better, but just having, now with having Facebook and all these things, being able to reach out to somebody when they're selling a jersey, or if you're looking at if they even have one that's not for sale, just reaching out and asking questions before just throwing out crap offers. If you're not sure values of stuff, and I've gotten lowball offers, but I'll usually come back and say, hey, I'm looking for more in this price range. Here's why. I'm not an ass and just unless the other person is coming off acting like an ass right off the bat. And we do see some of that, but all of us started out in this hobby trying to learn, and it's nice when we can teach, because there's always new people coming in. The more they see the NHL auctions and different things where people can buy these game-worn jerseys, the more people get interested, and it's all our job to help educate, because then it furthers the hobby as a whole.
Yeah, definitely.
See, I was going to say, I think some people come in and collect it when they make an offer, not to take offense when the buyer or when the seller says no. Sometimes it's just, that's not the price they're looking for. They don't take it personal, and they're just like, okay, well, thanks for the offer. I want something else. A lot of these people I've noticed, like when they make an offer to you, they take it personal, like, well, why don't you take my offer? Well, that's not the price I'm looking for. It's not you. It's just, that's not the price I'm looking for. And then they get butthurt about it, and then they carry that on with them for when they deal with another, seller.
Yeah, I've run into that before, especially with folks that there are a couple of folks I've run into who specifically come to me saying, I want you to give me a great deal. It's like, well, I appreciate that that's what you want. This company, I have in mind for this item, or this item's not for sale. I'm happy to work something out, happy to talk trade, something. But sometimes there's going to be differences of opinion, and you might not reach a deal, and that's okay too. There's no rule that says everyone has to come, cut the kind of deal the buyer wants or anything like that. I mean, it's a two-way street.
Right. It kind of makes you think back, like when you started collecting. Like, how did you get into collecting? For me, I was dabbling in hockey cards, right? And you start getting into like the stupid, well, they're stupid now, GameWorn jersey cards, right? So you start dabbling into that, and you're getting on eBay and you're checking out the prices of stuff and trying to find what you're looking for, and all of a sudden, a full jersey pops up. And all of a sudden you're like, you can get the whole thing. Why am I not getting the whole thing? Here's this card that's like a $300 card because it has an autograph, and it's got this tiny little piece of the crest of a jersey. Or I could get the whole freaking jersey. And then so you start seeing like the jersey being listed on there, and then of course you see My Gray. So then you go to the My Gray website, you start browsing around, you can see everything's available, and that's when everything starts for you, right? So I think a lot of people have a similar story to that, where you start somewhere, but you kind of discover it on your own, or somebody kind of influences you to it. And I think that can help a little bit, but one of the things that I struggled with, at least at the beginning, was I went to My Gray, and that was my go-to, and that's just where I did stuff. And then I gradually got into learning about like what other people like and do and want to do, or collect, and how to do deals and things like that. And then I realized, oh, I need to really start doing some research on exactly what is going on, and then you start reading about the fakes and things like that. So it's really about using the resources that people put out there for you, using other people, finding who the experts are, making friends. And when I was early on too, I was like, some of this stuff is not exactly the easiest to find. So I tried to do my best to create a resource for other people. Ironically, that actually got me banned from one of the popular websites. But it's all about the resources. This hobby is, I would say, number one about resources, and you really can't discount that.
It's interesting.
Go ahead.
I think that's right. I think you need to know the right places to check, the right folks to talk to. Keeping an open mind about resources. One of the things that's amazing about about this hobby and doing the research that you can. You never know where you might find something. Yearbooks and all that stuff still carry value. I mean, Getty's made it easier to find photos, especially with the modern era stuff. But just so many different resources. There was a point in time where I thought even about collecting yearbooks, just because not only I thought they were cool, or media guides. I thought they were cool, but also because they were just a wealth of information. The other thing that I think is an interesting kind of balance you try to reach when you get into collecting is having a focus versus learning. I mean, I feel like when I first started collecting, my first jersey was a Vancouver Canucks jersey. I still own it just because it's my first ever jersey, but it was not a fit for any collection. But at the time, I honestly didn't really know what I was doing, and I wanted to have a jersey. It was the one I could afford, so I got it. But as you go through things and you start to amass your collection and figure out what your focus is going to be, you're also learning through even the stuff that you get that maybe isn't a fit that you decide to get rid of later on. I mean, there's just so many ways, and it's just so good to just keep that open mind and just keep soaking up all the information.
Right. Steven, we're going to get to you in a minute. All right, go ahead.
Oh, me go now?
Yeah, I was just messing with you.
Yeah, the way I got started is actually I got into international jerseys more, and the IIHF jerseys page was like the first Facebook group I found about all of this stuff, and that's where it's even, in my opinion, it's harder to gauge values of players because my first actual jersey I remember purchasing was a Team Germany jersey, and I had no idea who the person was. I picked it up off of eBay from one of the sellers you guys all know, and I was actually surprised because $100, I got it, and I was really happy to get that, and it was pretty cool. From there, it started expanding into a little more expensive jerseys, such as like I got a couple World Junior Championship jerseys from Denmark because that's one of my favorite international teams to collect. Met a couple great people there. I know I told you, Derek, about the one guy that I met that was offering me to go out to some of the games in Montreal. But yeah, so that's where I kind of got started. My first close encounter to an NHL jersey was I picked up Zetterberg's game-issued Sweden jersey from '02. It's his blue one. It's like one of the few blue Sweden ones I've seen around, and it's really awesome. And then from there, it turned into finding out there was a Red Wing sale and wanting to get a Lidstrom Night jersey. And my first Red Wing jersey was the Drew Miller Lidstrom Night one. And that was they only had a few left because I didn't know people were crazy and got in line at 3 a.m. But yeah, it turned into, from international jerseys into Red Wing jerseys. And
point of order, that year was 6 a.m.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I mean, the international jerseys are really cool. It's just really, really, really hard to gauge value with some of them because people will want them at one point, and unless that player gets better or makes the NHL, they're kind of a lost cause. But yeah, there's some jerseys I bought for like $50, and it turns out people start looking for them. They offer me a ridiculous amount, and I move them. Like I had a Sweden one I paid about $150 for, and one of the ladies down in Florida wanted it. She collects this woman player that she really, really, really wanted. It offered me, 3 times what I paid for it, and I was like, "Here you go, take it." So I'm not as attached to them, but they are pretty cool to have, and it's kind of nice because every couple years you get new jerseys from these players, and it doesn't really matter who their name is. You just get them more for the front crest.
Yeah, the international market is quite a bit different. I mean, I will even throw my hat down and say I don't know much about it, and I wouldn't feel comfortable like rolling around in that type of stuff. Even some of the minor league stuff vexes me to this day. I don't understand it, but I think a lot of that comes down to they're different types of collectors. So I mean, you can be in this hobby for a long time and still really, and it's not necessarily learning about the jerseys per se, it's more learning about the jersey market and all the different various markets that we actually have in the hobby. I know Facebook has been one of the staples that everybody has been using, and I think some of our issues that we see here and there can be really cut down to uh, etiquette on Facebook as well. I think a lot of newer collectors, social media is a very interesting thing. You'll notice with the advent and the popularity of social media, more and more people feel comfortable saying pretty much anything that's on their mind, and it can be great and it can be detrimental all at the same time. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love saying whatever I want to say whenever I want to say it. I mean, I do that all the time. You guys know because of this radio show. I really don't pull punches, but you know, and a lot of it can go towards your reputation. Like if you're always that guy that's out there shitting on people all the time instead of helping people, you kind of look like a bully, and people aren't going to want to deal with you, or they're not going to offer you the best deals, things like that. You know, social media is a really funny thing. My biggest pet peeve. All right, it's pet peeve time. My biggest pet peeve. Shit, I've got like a bunch of big pet peeves on social media, right? Maybe we'll get to my entire list eventually, but one of my big things right now is, you know how in the group you can sell jerseys and you create that little sell button? Well, Facebook puts the very first like interaction that you do with the group as being ready to sell something, and nobody clicks over to start a discussion when they're just like talking about something. So then you'll see like, I just got this new jersey, and then they post a picture of it and it says free on it. So you're gonna have like 8 people like, oh, I'll take that for free. Big pet peeve. You know, just it's not using social media right. I honestly, to be honest, I hate social media as the primary source for this hobby. I really do. Who wants to jump in? Who's got a pet peeve on social media?
Well, I'll just add a comment towards that. It's not really social media. It's the whole how easy it is to post something via social media. Back in the Usenet days, before we had the web, most groups wanted you to lurk for a week or 2 or 3 to figure out what was going on before you posted. Nowadays, with Facebook, Twitter, and all that, we'll approve someone for the group. And within 20 minutes, they might have 3 or 4 posts in there. And it's fairly clear from what they have posted, they have not lurked in the group earlier. So it's...
And
for me,
you know what?
The social media barrier is that it's just so easy to type something and click OK. It's not even like you had to send it to a listserv or something.
Right.
Go ahead.
And yeah, Paul makes an excellent point, and I jumped on somebody's ass about it, and it may have been somebody else on the Skype call with us that did it, that kind of helped me do it too. It was a guy that he doesn't appear to be in the hobby long, but he started posting all these jerseys for sale. All he would do is put the player's name and pictures of the jersey. Wouldn't put a price, wouldn't put a set, wouldn't no wear description, nothing. Would put the player's name and says for sale, message for info. I at least would like to know what the hell year the jersey is, and at least some basics. I mean, my descriptions aren't perfect either when I post stuff out there, but I at least try and get the set, the year, the size of the jersey, most like the wear marks that really stick out. So I don't have to answer 50 PMs with, well, what size is it? What's this? What's that? I can give most of the information. So most of the messages then coming in are, hey, I'll offer you this price or whatever, compared to 8,000 messages. And I hate when I'm looking at jerseys that don't have any info, because then I feel like maybe they'll think I'm a tire kicker because I'm asking all the questions. But if you don't put anything out front, you're going to get just blasted with a ton of messages.
That is a fantastic piece of advice, and I will have to say and fully admit that at one point in time I got angry with a lot of people recently, actually, and it's because of my own faults. So when you post something, you should be posting, especially something for sale, the most amount of information that you have for that jersey. Don't hold back, like everything that you know. That way, like with some of the stuff when I started, or I decided, like I threw my hands up in the air and I was like, I'm selling everything, you know. I just created a list of everything that I was going to be selling to kind of let maybe some people that had extreme interest in specific things know that it's coming up, and if you want to know about it in advance, let me know and we can work out something. That way, you know, if you're that hardcore collector that's always after this player or whatever, you can get it. I didn't put a price on anything, so I got a bunch of people that would message me, ask me about a ton of information about it, and I would furnish it, and then they're like, all right, how much? And then they're like, well, that's way too much. And the first thing that's in my head is like, A, you don't know what you're talking about because you didn't do the research. And B, you just wasted my time because I could have been answering all these other people's things. But that's my own stupid fault. I mean, it's kind of like, it was my fault to begin with, but I guess I think you should lead with your deal breakers. You know? Especially like the people that are like, hey, do you want to trade? No, I don't want to trade. Not, can you give me all this information about what you're selling? And then after you furnish all that information, hey, let's trade. No, I'm just selling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That bothers me. Yeah. What bothers me is I've tried to sell a couple things in there, and I'll say, you know, I'm just looking for money. I'm not looking for a trade. And then they're like, how much for the jersey are you willing to trade? It's like, did you not read the description either? I mean, I know sometimes I make mine a little lengthy, but it's like what you do. I try to give all the information that I have on that jersey, and let the potential buyer know, what's about this jersey. Like, I don't know how to word that, but like what is special about this jersey that I have, or what's the info about it.
Right.
And then the people the people that just message you and just like, it's like they don't read at all. They just look at the pictures and they don't read any of the description or read what you're offering or whatever.
And I don't have a problem with anybody sending me a message saying, hey, can you send me more pictures on the wear, or ask me questions on things? But if I've given a lot of the basic, if you're asking me stuff I've already put in the listing, it kind of drives me nuts. But if they want a clarification or if they want additional pictures, I don't mind doing that. But they at least need to do a little bit of legwork up front.
I've actually had, I don't know how you guys feel, but part of me wants to be like, yeah, well, part of the burden for a seller is a willingness and an openness to answer any questions you receive. But that said, something I've noticed is the people who ask the most questions tend to be the least serious actual buyers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually I can't think of a scenario, and I've sold a ton of jerseys. I can't think of a scenario where someone's asked me a bajillion questions, like especially redundant questions of things that were in the ad, and actually done the deal.
Right. I mean, a lot of it can be avoided just doing simple research or thinking like, am I in a situation where I'm actually ready to do this? Like, here's my thing. And granted, it'd be a fantastic world if this were the case, but don't message somebody about something that you're not ready to buy right now. I mean, if you want to look at it or you're curious about the jersey or something, maybe be like, preface it like, hey, I'm not interested in buying, but I think it would be cool to know more about this jersey or something. What do you know about it? But like, don't just, if you're not ready to buy, especially like if it's not within a 30% range of the asking price, move on to the next. I cannot stress how, especially in today's market where things seem to be harder and harder to buy and sell. Well, sell specifically.
Yeah.
The amount of just, I think it comes down to consideration for other people. And
I used to be like, oh, sorry, Derek, go ahead.
No, feel free. I
was going to say, I actually, up until pretty much probably about a year and a half ago, that's how I used to be. I'd ask a couple questions, but then I would be like, I don't have the money for that right now. And, I always felt bad, at that point, because usually the ones I'd ask was like, they didn't have their price listed. And I was like, well, I'm asking this, where I was like, I'm sorry, I felt bad asking all these questions that, I don't have the money for the jersey now. And they're like, well, I could put it on hold for you. I was like, no, I'd rather you not do that because I don't want someone else to miss on it when they have the money. If I don't have the money, I don't have the money. That's my fault. That's not anyone else's but me. You shouldn't hold it for me because I don't have the money, And then there's some cases where I talk to the seller like, hey, can I do a payment plan with you and see if that would work? And usually that 9 times out of 10, that's worked. So,
Right.
You know what this conversation reminds me of a little bit is the guy that posted the other day on the group, and it got a little bit ugly for the post no longer exists, about how irritated he was that people would watch his items on eBay and not buy.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Oh, give me a break.
I know. I don't know. And I understand that. I totally get where everybody's coming from. I guess my take as a seller is I'm kind of willing to put up with a certain level of inquiry and sometimes just tire kicking and bullshit, but because I'm hoping to sell something and I want to be, treat potential buyers as you would any other customer. And so I don't know, I kind of feel like I don't get super fussed about answering questions. Now if somebody's messaging me and asking for like a ton of really specific photos and like, can you turn the jersey inside out and take a picture of this repair, and then they stop responding, yeah, then I get annoyed. But otherwise, I mean, they're just questions, and I feel like maybe it'll help somebody learn, or maybe eventually it will lead to a sale. I don't know. I try to be a little bit flexible because I feel like we've all been there as that possibly interested buyer asking a bunch of questions. I don't know.
I think the difference comes. I haven't seen, and maybe I'm just missing it, but I haven't seen you list like a lot of stuff for sale recently. I think you're more on the lower end of like, I buy a lot of stuff and I keep it, and very rarely do you sell something. When you're somebody who is changing a focus or you're selling a lot of stuff, like the difference is it gets tiring real fast.
Yeah,
like,
that's fair.
Back when I had one jersey for sale because it wasn't something that fit my collection, ask away, whatever. But if I'm, in the middle of like trying to cycle out 3 or 4 or 5 things and I'm getting like 3 people per jersey doing the same thing, it's just like, come on, who's going to pop? Like, I want to talk to somebody who's going to pop on this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Derek, we're actually, since this show is about for new collectors and people coming to the hobby, I think what really the point here on the asking questions and all that is the common courtesy point. That when you ask a question, you ask for photos, you ask them to turn it inside out, see the repairs and stuff. Respond to that then. Thank them for sending it, saying, yeah, thank you for the photos. It's not what I'm looking for. There's so many times we send out the photos and we don't get a response.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never upset when I send out photos or additional details and then they respond, say either thank you, but I'm not interested, or I'll take it. I try to put as much information in the original listing as I can. The one mistake I made at the beginning was not listing prices, but not listing sizes. I was shocked how many people care about whether it's a 56 or 58. And it makes sense, but that was something, when I was new in the hobby, I was like, I didn't realize it was that important.
Yeah, one of our listeners just asked if they're all asking the same thing, is it a listing issue? And it most definitely can. Sometimes when you're listing something, you just slips your mind. Definitely. But also on the topic of advice for newer collectors, I think with the number of people that we have in the general GameWorn group, the GameWorn Hockey Jersey Collectors group, you have to really consider, is this thread worth bumping? And this is the point that I want to advise to people, especially our veterans, because I think a lot of our veterans are guilty of this, and it goes back to the forum days. And with Facebook, when something sells, there's this mark as sold button. That's all you need to do. Too many times do I see a thread get bumped to the top that's like, this item is sold, or thanks to the buyer. Thank the buyer privately. Close the thread down. We get so many threads all day long that sometimes it's hard to sift through the shit, and it's hard to find what you're looking for sometimes, or you miss stuff. Like, you really have to weigh, is what I'm saying important to this thread conversation or anything like that? Like, saying great jersey is cool and all, but all the jerseys are great, come on.
But Derek, are you basically looking at Facebook on a desktop or a device?
I do both. When I'm at work, oh shit, I shouldn't say that on the radio, should I? When I'm at work, I'm on the
But
desktop.
you're working very hard when you're at work. We know.
I'm working very hard when I'm at work, but I'm definitely browsing on a desktop. But the problem is when you have the 8, 9, 10 for sale posts in a row, and then you have, a couple of good, decent conversations going on, and then you also have somebody bumping their old sale threads, and then they bump every single one that they have out there all at the same time. Shit just gets pushed down the line way too far. Or way too fast, I should say. Far and fast. It's a lot of content. It goes very, very fast. It's not organized. It's not categorized. It's not easy to find. And this is why I always put it to everybody. Facebook is not the best medium for this. The reason why it's used so prevalently is it's easy. And one of the things that I have come to, I guess, decide is you can see the people that are serious about the hobby and those that aren't. And the ones that are serious about the hobby, they do the research. They find other mediums like Stevens on Reddit, and other people use different forums and things like that, places where things are good to go to categorize. People find and use resources that are available to them, and then others are just like, hey, shit, what is there's something I always like post directly to GameWorn, or a link to GameWorn.us. Somebody always comes like once a week. It's like, does anybody know about this? And I'm just like, click, boom. Here's the link to GameWorn.us. It's a static page, and you can go here anytime you want for this resource. It's like some people put in just minute, minimal effort into something that's just so simple.
The thing that's bothered me lately is like, I'm looking for this jersey of this so-and-so player. I know this place has it, but I will see if I can get it cheaper here. And because I've seen that posted a few times, like someone say, oh yeah, I know, My Gray has that jersey. Yeah, I'm looking for something cheaper than My Gray. It's like, oh hey, I saw a post on GameWorn with that. Yeah, I want to come on Facebook, see if I can get it cheaper there. I mean, that's great. You're trying to make a deal. Why not the hell was that? Sorry. Why not try contacting the seller and see if you can work a deal out with them for something cheaper? Just because My Gray has that price listed doesn't always mean that's, that price is set in stone. And it's just like, I just don't think people should be afraid to negotiate.
That goes for buyers and sellers, and I could not agree more with you. Absolutely.
Yeah, the only thing, I've had some issues with some of the jerseys I've looked for. Like, I know I mentioned it a while ago that, some of the jerseys I was looking for were Mike Green, and I joined the Caps GameWorn group. I was messaging a guy back and forth. I offered him a number that was like maybe 50 below his asking, and
Yeah.
He's like, no. And I'm like, okay. So he listed on eBay with just bidding, and I think it sold for like $100 under his asking. And I was not about to bid up on that because I'm like, you know what? I really don't care, and I don't want to do business with you. But it was kind of a jerk move. So if it's something I really, really want, I'll probably kick some tires on it and see what people are actually looking for. But I haven't really dabbled in trying to find any more green jerseys because pretty much everything went to My Gray, and the cheapest I'm going to find is about double what they're going to sell for through the Facebook groups and eBay and stuff like that.
Yeah. The sad truth.
'Cause, I mean, the cheapest they have is their 40% sale, so
Yeah,
$600 for a green jersey. I mean, I paid that for his, entire worn Red Wings one. I don't really know how many people want a Caps green jersey because they're pretty easy to come by. I can find almost every year he played.
Selling jerseys is so finicky right now, man. Let me tell you, like, I've got a bunch of these Crunch jerseys from the Crunch that the website's trying to sell for them, and in my opinion, the prices are considerably low. But apparently, they're not low enough. And
That's just your opinion, Derek. They're very low. The Crunch jersey prices that you're offering, I'm shocked they're not selling.
I have people telling me the price is still too high. And, I've actually gone and tried to renegotiate some prices for specific people, and they've even come down on a couple of the jerseys that they're able to come down on, and it's still being told that the prices are too high.
I think I know we're getting a little bit off topic in terms of like beginner collector stuff, but I think that is completely a product of the special finickiness of the minor league stuff. Some people go nuts for minor league stuff, and other folks won't touch it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I own. Well, that's not true. I own a bunch of minor league stuff. It's all in my hometown. I own 3 maybe minor league jerseys that aren't from specifically like Greensboro, North Carolina. Otherwise, I don't collect it. So I get it. It's really finicky.
Sorry if I'm not talking much right now. I've got like other conversations going on I'm trying to address too.
So
Yeah, I thought-
Multitasking.
So the one thing I noticed I brought up to Derek was trying to advertise a little bit more on Reddit.
Mhm.
I'm
working on it. I'm trying to learn it, man. I have so much going on, but I'm really trying. I hope those guys like accept me into the clique. I'm just trying to find a place because they like to talk a lot about authentics. And this is a great example of advice for new people. Is I'm new to Reddit, so I'm trying to learn about Reddit and learn about like the things that they do and the things that they talk about prior to openly engaging with them, just so I don't feel like I'm an outcast. I even reached out to one of the moderators and I was like, hey, just so you know, I'm new. I don't know how this works. Do you have advice for me? And he was really cool. He gave me some advice. He's like, hey, don't go out and just be like that guy that only posts about shit that you're trying to sell or something. Like, engage with people, have conversations with them. And I'm like, dude, you're money man.
Yeah, I haven't tried with it either.
Sorry for hijacking that, but I felt like that was a really good segue to the new thing and kind of like what you would want to do as a new person to a hobby or an environment.
Well, I think a lot of jersey collectors actually get started there because, you can get an authentic, whoever player on it, sometimes pretty cheap. Like I know for example, the Canadian jerseys were pretty popular from the Winter Classic this year. The authentics were going for just around $120. I mean, extremely cheap stuff. And I think that's what gets people interested into the authentics. And then once you start touching authentics, you're like, wow, I'm not going to give up going back to replicas. And that's kind of then, now they have these game-worn jerseys. Why did I ever buy, the authentics? And I still buy an authentic here and there if it's a great price for a rare jersey. But I think that's why Reddit is such a big area. I mean, there's over 5,000 subscribers just to the hockey jerseys portion of the site. And on top of that, I mean, they're selling stuff all the time. They're, talking about stuff. They're looking at jerseys. They're teaching people if they're fake or not. And I think that would be a great segue for people to get into the game worn stuff because they're going to learn about it. They're going to have another outlet to purchase stuff if, Derek starts commenting on stuff and giving information because they're going to have another avenue, not just authentics. They're going to have the avenue of going through and buying other stuff through there. So,
yeah, one of the I have a hard time describing some things sometimes. One of the guys, one of the newer people, Ryan Alleman, I know a lot of people had some issues with him at one point when he was really new. Sometimes it takes that veteran collector to reach out to somebody that they see that might not be, we'll just say, making the best decisions or maybe fitting in, and advising them some things here and there. I know he was out there and some people didn't necessarily like some of his conduct. I made a deal with him and reached out to him, and I was like, for the future, it works best if you do it like this, or try to avoid doing something like that, and kind of gave him a list of stuff that I noticed that he was doing, and he didn't even realize it, and he was really appreciative, and ever since, the dude's been really good,
Yeah, he's a great case of like learning the right way, doing it the right way. I really wish more people could kind of take a page out of his book. 'Cause that's a some people don't learn it, and if they don't, it's hard. You can make it in this hobby. I mean, anybody can. If you got money to spend, you can buy jerseys, but it's going to be a lonely journey through it. And I mean, what makes this so much fun is, as we talk about over and over again, just all the people.
Yeah, seriously, I cannot stress this enough to freaking everybody. I don't give a shit if you're a veteran, if you're middle down the road, if you're a new guy. Fucking people, be good to each other, because when you're shitty to somebody, you're gonna get put on a list, and people are gonna know, and they're gonna talk about you, and you might have an issue with one specific person, but everybody knows eventually. People will know about bad experiences.
I think now is a perfect time. I'm going to give you a shameless plug, and you need to run with it. Which is, if you're new or a veteran, get your ass to Chicago in April, because you want to talk about meeting people and getting to know people. I literally cannot wait. I think it's going to be awesome, and I really like. Even though I've been doing this for a while, I've only met a very small number of collectors in person. I am so excited to get up there and see everybody in person. So you're putting something together that's pretty awesome, and it's going to make it possible for a lot of folks to kind of get to know each other and really get, if you're new, really dive headfirst into the hobby.
That's one of the things that I've been really trying. It's easier to learn about the hobby. It's easier to become more of a veteran collector outside of, like, we'll just say it's a fast track. It's a fast track to being knowledgeable in the hobby when you get involved, and that's what I've been trying to do with the GameWorn website. That's what we're trying to do with the Chicago Expo. We're doing it around Frozen 4, so it gives you more of a reason to go to Chicago. And we're trying to make it really big. We got people coming internationally, and it can be something simple as getting involved in a minute conversation, or getting involved in GameWorn Radio, or getting involved in just going to an expo. It's getting involved, and once you get involved, everything starts coming. When I was really early on in collecting, I only had a couple jerseys here and there. I had found out about the Toledo Expo, which was just in my neck of the woods. I just bought my gray jersey, so I was on their mailing list, and they sent out an email saying, there's a migrate bus going to Toledo. I was like, going to Toledo? Really? I'm there. So I went in, I checked it all out, and that was a really huge turning point for me. That was my fast track. I haven't been collecting long. I really haven't. I think 2011 was when I started, so 5 years. But people kind of feel like I've been around for a long time, and I still feel like I'm new. But it's about getting involved. You get so knowledgeable just interacting with people, interacting with events, going to things. Get out there, be a people person. You don't have to like people, but just be interested in the shit that they got, because that ultimate. I met some awesome people just putting my neck out there, Shit, Paul, what was it? I was in Fresno for work, and we were talking at one point, and you were just like, you're in Fresno if you come to San Jose, and we had never met before. We've only talked on Facebook. I don't even think we talked on the phone at that point. You're like, if you come to San Jose, I got hockey tickets for you. I drove from Fresno to San Jose and stayed at your place, and that is just the ultimate description of what this hobby can do for you. Ever since then, I have met some of the most awesome people. I've had people stay at my house when they come through. I had Dan, unfortunately he's not here, but when he rolled through here and went to a Toledo game, he stopped at my place. I mean, it's about people. I cannot stress that enough. Fuck the jerseys sometimes. That's cool, you got cool shit, but damn, man, the people. End rant. Meeting Derek, I thought, what a dickhead. Of course you did, Steven.
I just don't want to take over while you're talking. I'm just thinking of funny things that have happened.
Okay, it's your turn. Take over, please.
Oh no, I'm good. I met Paul. I went to San Francisco for a work conference, the Microsoft Build conference, and I was like, "Hey, let's buy." Told my girlfriend she was coming out for a different thing to meet with some friends that she knew. She was staying with me. I'm like, "Hey, let's buy tickets to San Jose Sharks." So I let Paul know I was going down there. He didn't have tickets for the game or something like that, and we took the train down to San Jose. Met him for dinner. It was an amazing time. It was really awesome. I mean, I thought his kid was like 40 years old, but
Yeah.
but
Because he's older than you.
yeah, I thought he was older than me. I'm like, geez, I'm gonna buy him a beer. But no, I mean, meeting people is really fun, and getting to know Derek and going to a game with him, and it's been fun meeting people. And there's been a couple other collectors I've met, just different things. It's been awesome.
It's funny. We had and Jason was supposed to make it, and it didn't work out because I'm a scheduling moron. But we had a little get together here in Tampa, where surprisingly there's actually a number of collectors that are local who and we didn't have a place to meet. And every venue I kind of looked at fell through, so I said, all right, well, y'all can come to my house. And so everybody came over, and it was awesome. And we had some amazing jerseys and great conversation and a blast. I was talking to one of the guys who's here, and I think this was in July that we did this. And he was like, why don't you want to do it again? Do you want? And I don't have anything particularly spectacular new to show off, or nothing to go nuts about. And I don't think anybody else has, but I'm legitimately thinking about doing it again, even though we just did it in July. Not for the jerseys, because it was fun as hell to hang out with everybody. Even my wife, who's not into jerseys, had a blast just hanging out.
We got
and it doesn't have to be a huge event where you get 500 people. If you get 10 guys together that collect jerseys, it's just bringing out some of your collection, letting the other guys take a look at them, get hands-on stuff, and it's just the BSing and the beer drinking and that kind of stuff that goes on that makes the hobby fun.
The shooting the
We
shit.
do a yearly event, just a small one in the Bay Area, up in Redwood City by Mitch's house. We might only get 15, 20 people there, but it is a blast. So going back to the original thought, Chicago is going to be awesome. I'm so looking forward to that expo. More so than probably any expo I've been to so far. I'm not optimistic about Michigan being in the Frozen Four, but I won't say anything about that yet.
Oh my god, if you're a new person listening, instead of buying 2 game-worn jerseys, buy a freaking ticket to Chicago. Holy shit, it'll be worth way more an experience than those 2 freaking jerseys you're going to buy. I promise you.
And it's just going to be a great time. I'm so excited about that expo. But if for whatever reason you can't make it to Chicago, if you have a conflict or something, go to a show in your area. The Tampa Bay show sounded awesome. There's Francis Reddy is doing a yearly show in D.C. You have the show in Toledo every 2 to 3 years that Larry's putting on. We do something out here in the Bay Area. There's talk of trying to do something back down in L.A. So there's something in your neck of the woods. Go to it. It's the best thing you can do as an old or a new collector.
Hey, Derek, do you keep track of, you probably do, on GameWorn.us, all of the various gatherings, expos, etc.?
Yeah, when people come up to me and let me know that they are doing an expo, I have a subforum which I'm cataloging everything in, and hopefully when me and Steven code this new redesign for the website, I'll have better ways of tracking, but for now we're just kind of cataloging everything on the forum. And when the medium gets switched over, it'll be a lot better. I've been trying, and this is where it's a lot of work doing something like this solo. I've since slowed down on my auction tracker because it's just a lot of work to keep up. This is where using the forum is valuable for cataloging this information, and we need. If we want to retain this information in the hobby and have it as an obtainable resource, We need to at least put it somewhere where it's going to be safe, and we can transmute it at a later point. We just need to have the information stored somewhere, and we need to work together as collectors to crowdsource this information and put it in a centralized spot. That way it can be accessible for everybody in the future.
You could set up an algorithm in there that when somebody posts a Carolina jersey, they just send it over to me.
Yeah, maybe I'll try. Well, all right. When I'm doing the website redesign, one of the things I want to do is add a tags subscription. So anytime, like, say you like Carolina shit, right? Anytime something, any sort of medium gets tagged, whether it's an article, whether it's a forum post, a for sale post, or a jersey database tracking entry, if they tag it with Carolina Hurricanes, it can be on your subscriptions list and you'll get notified. That way you don't have to see all the 29 other teams or 30 other teams, depending on what year we're talking about, we're getting this done. But you'll know everything that's going on in Carolina Hurricanes. And I feel like a system like that would make everybody very, very strong in their specific knowledge base. Dude, I've got this massive plan for this massive website laid out in my head with all this shit, all this database stuff, and how to organize and display the information and catalog and archive information. It's just down to getting it done. I don't have money where I can pay somebody to do it, so me and Steven, our dead asses, are fucking trying to learn how to do this PHP coding language that it's a framework to get started, to try and get this shit going. It's hard work. It's a labor of love. It really is.
Hey, for the collectors and new collectors that don't pay attention to anything, what are the details on Chicago yet? Do you have like a hotel room yet, or a block of rooms, or what's going on there?
Literally like a fixed. It's the very first post you'll see on the GameWorn Collectors on Facebook group.
Yeah, we're working on the hotels. As soon as I get information for the hotels, I'm going to be broadcasting it. If you've already registered, we're going to be sending out email blasts as more information come based on what you've little ticked on the register. And also for people who are just now finding about the expo, registration is open. It's early registration until the end of the calendar year. And with your early registration, you will get a free amount in raffle tickets for some really cool prizes, and we're still working on some prizes. Raffle. So Pete should have hotel info, so in the next couple weeks I'll try and get that out so people know.
Coolio. Sorry, I just don't pay attention that much.
Yeah, I know, we need to change that, huh?
What's tonight's top?
If we had a medium that was easier to use and track information, you know.
I was thinking about this, like when we're in Chicago, the biggest challenge is going to be when the fuck are we going to sleep? Like we're going to be up all night talking about jerseys and drinking beer and doing whatever. Like that's going to be a stretch of days where there's just no sleep at all.
Well, add on top of that.
And that's a problem?
Not only the Chosen Four, but we're going to be doing the GameWorn Hockey Jersey Collectors Beer League Skate.
Can't wait.
Drop in style hockey game for those that play. And even for those that don't play, strap on some skates. If you can skate, put a stick in your hand and we'll get you one netted. Steven, Zach Schultz says that you are the worst. I think he wants me to kick you off the show.
What is he doing, listening?
Yeah, it looks like he's listening.
I didn't even know he listened.
Yeah, he just logged in. Alright, sorry, segue.
He has the other Glendenning you need.
Yeah, I know, shut up. I already know, man. Alright, we got 6 minutes left. I think we applied some really good information for our new collectors. To summarize, please research, post correctly, decide, am I posting this and it adds value, so am I bumping this thread for absolutely no reason? Make your intentions known up front, use your resources, and go to the freaking expos, man.
And I would like to ask anybody, like if you see even me online, I might not know the most, but I can at least tell you who knows the most about something.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody that we have, like, at least in that group of people that would say, I don't want to talk to you about this right now. If you send somebody a message, even if they're busy, they're gonna get back to you eventually, and they're gonna apply the information that they know to your question.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I can at least get you to someone because I know they're an expert in, sticks, or an expert in Hurricanes jerseys or Chicago jerseys. You know what I mean? Whatever it is. But I might not know the answer, but I at least can get you somewhere.
Yeah, you know somebody, you can direct them where to go to get this question answered, which is really, you can't really ask for much more than that.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is do not be afraid to ask questions. And if somebody treats you like crap, reach out to somebody else because we may slap them across the face and remind them they were new at this too. We want to grow the hobby. We don't want to push people out of it.
What are you watching, Steven?
I'm into that football game. Was it Patriots, Arizona?
All right, so yeah, 4.5 minutes left. We can do a topic. Shit, I'm gonna be going to Hawaii one of these weeks. I'll have to figure that out, and we'll have to schedule around it.
Okay, quick segue. World Cup of hockey jerseys. Anybody seen people complain about those yet, or no?
I've heard some people say it looks like it's basically for kids instead of adults. That's what the design's geared toward, like the teenager group or younger.
The design of like the crests, or are we talking like the actual design of the model of the jersey, the new Adidas?
Well, I guess I said that the material the jersey's made out of, people have been complaining like crazy.
Yeah, I heard one of the jerseys already has a rip in there.
Yeah, Brad Marchand,
Like
whatever
2 minutes
team
in the
he's
game or 5 minutes in the game or some shit.
Which sounds great for us, right?
Right, you would think so. The bad part is they're gonna retire jerseys faster.
And somebody just said the stream died. I don't know if that's true or not on Facebook.
It's been going on up and down primarily because I have so much streaming going on right now. It'll ultimately catch up. But yeah.
On the World Cup of hockey jerseys, Ronan actually wants one of the North American jerseys. I very rarely hear him say that about any jersey. He just absolutely loves the style. Yes, he's 13, so maybe you're right. It's geared towards the kids, but